What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, Blood Splatter Chatter. We are live doing some bonus blood here on a Wednesday afternoon in the middle of Horror Fest 2024. Going to do a little double feature today, talking about Oddity and Cuckoo, both from 2024. Oddity just hit Shutter. You can check it out there. Cuckoo is on like Fandango, and you can rent it on Amazon Prime. But I'm here today with Mr. Primetime. What up, Mr. Link? What's going on, brother? Thanks for being here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm excited to talk about these movies. I think they were a good complementary pair to each other, and one, and what to say, Oddity. This is like a rare moment where I like go into a movie blind, not
Mm-hmm.
knowing anything about the premise, not seeing a trailer, and I gotta say, my experience was that much better because of it. So,
Hell yeah. The only thing I had seen was the cover photo, and just out of the cover photo, I was online making an ass out of myself. Let me explain. I see the cover photo, and I'm on Pop Culture Philosophers a couple nights ago telling everyone we're doing this before I'd seen the movie. And I'm like, yeah, man, it stars the big blonde chick from Game of Thrones, Captain Phasma, dude. She's the lead in it. It's like, no, not at all. But if you look at the cover photo, it looks just like her. But the movie
I
starts and it's this little skinny, frail blonde woman. I'm like, I could not have been farther off from what was actually going on. Look nothing
they
like her.
were kind of though. I can see why you would say that though. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's something like even like the look, and we'll get into it, but just the look of that movie, she's like a piece of art at times in the movie. Just like her
Yeah.
look. I don't know, that short blonde hair and the way she's dressed.
Very
Like, I don't
sleek.
know, yeah, really stands out. But as I say, these are two 2024 horror movies. Personally, I'm like trying to kind of catch up because I've mentioned it on the show before, but I've heard there's been a lot of movies that have come out in 2024 that I've been like, oh, I'm excited to check that out. And then I'll catch some reviews and like it's like that's shit. It's shit. And usually it's obviously you should check it out and judge for yourself. But when you're trying to find the time to watch all these things and you're hearing nothing good, a
You're like,
lot of them I
yeah,
have not checked out.
yeah.
But let me just
Sometimes.
run through. I told you ahead of time, but I just made a quick list. Most of these I've seen, a few of them I haven't, but I'm kind of curious, like you guys in the chat, Rogue, what have you seen? And anybody else popping in? But like in no particular, actually in kind of a particular order. This is like a rough, like my favorites of the year. I'd put Oddity in that favorites of the year group, by the way. But Long Legs with that, Late Night with the Devil, Alien Romulus, First Omen, Maxine, Immaculate. I have not seen. It's another like religious horror kind of thing. Supposedly it's a lot like First Omen, and honestly, it's a lot like Apartment 7A, which is the Rosemary's Baby prequel that just came out. I just
Okay.
watched that. No spoilers for that, but I would say it's solid, but it's not quite as good as I was hoping it would be. It
Okay.
stars like the hillbilly chick from Ozark, like the younger.
Oh, blonde.
Yeah.
Yes. Snappy one. Yeah.
She's good. She's great in it. It's like it's in the form of Rosemary's Baby. It's like this slow burn, serious tone. Like it's cool. In the way it works as a prequel, it's pretty cool. She's
Okay.
actually playing the girl that Rosemary meets that ends up jumping out of the window. I don't know how
No.
familiar. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's pretty cool.
Okay.
It's got the older couple in it, recasted, but it's worth people's time, especially if you're a fan of Rosemary's Baby. But I'll just say it's predictable, and it has to be predictable because I won't
It's gotta
spoil it
say.
if you're not familiar with that movie. You know her fate. You know where it's going to go, and you kind of know right where it's going the whole time. But
That's an
there's also
interesting spin-off or
yeah,
take on that.
it's on Paramount. It was a Paramount Plus original. Then there was one we covered together, or two we covered together. There's In a Violent Nature and Abigail, which we were both kind of mid-level on. I saw the TV Glow. It just came out on Max. I have not seen that. Have you checked it out?
I did watch that. I watched that like a week and a half ago. That was interesting. That'd be a fun one to cover. It
Really?
was
Okay.
yeah. It was,
That was one like I was leaning towards. You know what I mean? Like I was waiting to see what you were going to pick for the second movie, but I would have been happy with Cuckoo or I saw the TV Glow. A Quiet Place Day One. Everybody loved it. I saw it in the theater and fucking hated it. I thought it was
it
terrible,
was
but
you
I
know,
know I'm gonna like it more the second time. I know it was partially the theater experience.
yeah, their experience will fucking hamper a lot, bro. It can enhance and hamper a lot at the same time, depending on like the crowd you're with and shit. So I gotta say, I didn't see it with the crowd, and I gotta say, it was all right. I don't
Mm,
think it's one of the best. Like people were saying, it's amazing. I saw some people saying it's like the best one yet, and I was kind of
right,
like, come on now, best one. Out of the best
right.
Quiet Place one, with even two was really good.
I
But
think,
like,
dude, those are two of my favorite horror movies. Like they really are. I know they're a
yeah,
little like tame for a lot of people's taste, but I think
they're
they're
brilliant.
phenomenal. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're fucking brilliant. I mentioned Abigail. Two that I haven't seen are two Shutter original foreign films. Infested is the one I keep wanting to get to. It's this
I was just
French spider movie that, yeah, I definitely want to check that one out. It's supposed to just be super entertaining. And if you're someone that's kind of turned off by subtitle movies, supposedly it's so like action heavy that there's not even that much dialogue. It's a bunch
right.
just running and screaming from spiders. You don't even notice that it's a foreign film, from what I've heard. And then there's a South Korean one called
Mm,
Exhuma, if I'm saying that right. I'm not sure. That I
that
haven't seen
those
that
both.
either.
Excuse I was just like yesterday I was looking up, like, because I was thinking of like these two movies had me thinking. I was like, it's been a pretty decent year. It hasn't been crazy, but it's like it's been a good pick. Like between Long Legs and I had
Hmm.
looked up for horror movies this year, and that was ranked on a few of the lists as like one of the best this year I've seen.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
it was definitely getting hype at the time. And again, that one's on Shutter. That I plan to, after Horror Fest is over, just like we did last year. We did November last
Hmm.
year where we did a bunch of new movies. I'm going to try to come up with a less lame name, maybe new Blood November or something kind of cooler like that. But I do want to try to catch up on a bunch of these 2024 releases before the year's over, and then I find myself a year behind, which is the way it feels right now. Rogue saying another one, the Speak No Evil remake, which I want to check out.
Yeah,
Loved the original, have not seen the remake yet. Rogue saying his top for the year in no particular order: Romulus, Longlegs, Maxine, First Omen, Immaculate. Again, I want to check out Oddity and Cuckoo. He's
very
got
solid
in
movie.
there. Nice, man. Hell yeah. All right. Well, my brother, like I said, I was kind of debating on which one we should start with. I feel like Oddity is the more accessible one right now because it's streaming on Shutter. So I'll begin there. But obviously, if you're watching on the replay, if you haven't seen Oddity and you're here for Cuckoo, I'm going to put some timestamps in so that you can jump forward and check out just the Cuckoo portion. But jumping into Oddity, I went ahead. I like getting these synopsises off of IMBD to help me sound less stupid when I set these up. So this one, real simple synopsis: a psychic medium attempts to uncover the truth behind her sister's murder at the site of the crime. This one directed by Damian McCarthy. I think this is only his second film. The other one he did
Mhm.
was Caveat, which is on Shutter right now. That one's from 2020. All I know about that is it's got pretty good reviews. It's like an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was filmed in the same house that Oddity is filmed in. And if you look on the cover of it, on the cover is that bunny that you see that like does the little symbol clashing
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so they kind of like tie it in. I don't know if it's actually like a universe that he's creating, if it's supposed to be the same house, or if it's just him playing around with his props and settings.
You know what? That's kind of cool because this had me thinking of like I'd like to see a sequel. Not to get too far ahead, but
Hmm.
I like to see this world carry on. Like from the last scene, or what maybe it's like someone else inherits. Well,
Totally.
the thing. But we'll get
Yeah.
there.
The wooden man. The other thing is like, it's kind of a shame because, and we'll get to it. Spoilers for Cuckoo or for both of them up front. We're gonna spoil the shit out of both these movies. So if you haven't seen them, definitely check them out first because they're both movies you want to see. You don't want it to be spoiled. But I would like to see the one, like, I think it's only the one or two scenes that we see like the killer in his
Mhm.
outfit. It's badass. And like the way that this movie plays out, that doesn't seem like a thing. It would be hard to squeeze that design into a sequel. It wouldn't make sense that the killer would be wearing that same outfit, but it's
Maybe we see that dude's time
ooh,
before.
he's still around.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, that
Maybe he's, yeah. Oh, not. Maybe he didn't make something didn't happen to him, and he wears a mask for a reason now because of
right.
an experience he has. But speaking of that, this movie kind of reminded me of like Mike Flanagan style, like
Mm,
just the slow burn in a sense.
Hmm.
Yes, but it's crazy because his look, the look reminded me of the Hush movie. You know where
Oh, that's an even better call. I'd forgotten about that. I was saying like he's like wearing like a rain slicker. So it
hmm
reminds me of whatever the fuck his name is, the fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer. And it's
Oh yeah,
black.
yeah.
So it kind of just the way it drapes, it kind of gives me a ghost face vibe.
hmm
And then the white mask is total Michael Myers vibe, but a different material.
Very
Like
sleek.
the material of a ghost face with the blank, almost blank, like
Right,
there's like
it's a
this
blank
little
expression.
smirk, like this little tiny little
Kind of
smile on
happy.
its face.
Yeah,
Crazy looking. I think it's really badass. It's a shame that it's not like in the movie a little bit more. Yeah, Holy Parish. What up, my brother? Holy Parish of fucking Doom. What a name you got, man. Says, yeah, the narrative is obscured in the trailer, which is good. I
I
think
can dig
just
it. Yeah.
the storytelling in Oddity, like the way it's written, they're not holding your hand at all. They really make you gotta, pay attention to figure out what the fuck's going on, but it's not hard to
Right.
figure out what's going on. As long as you're giving it the attention that it deserves, it's all there.
Yo, yeah, this is man. There was because I did a double watch for both of these because they're so
Oh hell
good.
yeah, man. I
But
wish I could have watched Cuckoo twice. I needed a second watch for Cuckoo. I couldn't squeeze it in.
I think that actually I liked it better the second time, to be honest. With my viewing with Oddity, it was kind of like the same, or probably better the second time because there's certain things I picked up. But Cuckoo was definitely I was kind of able to like just enjoy it more, not to
Mhm.
get too far in that. But
Right.
um, fuck, where was I going with fucking Oddity? Shit, I'll come back to it.
I'm
Damn
trying to
it.
think of what the hell we were just saying. Say, "Bow, bow, bow, marijuana affects the memory."
Yeah, right.
All right, so well, let's just go dive into it, man. As I said, directed by Damien McCarthy, starring Carolyn Bracken, playing dual roles. She plays Darcy and Danny. I had to look it up because
Yo, that until my second watch, I it didn't dawn on me that was the same chick
for
because
real,
she was so fucking good in both roles. Like, and I looked her up, bro. She hasn't done much between like film or television. So for this to be like a leading role, like I think she killed it.
right?
She.
Oh, for sure. I couldn't believe it. Like she's so different when
hmm
she's playing the sister, and later on she's like, "Well, we're identical twins, so we look exactly alike." And then I'm looking at it, it's like, "No, you don't. Like you really, really don't." And that's impressive to have. Like she just like I don't know, she's got such a different energy as Danny as she does as Darcy. Darcy's so cold, and we're meeting her after not only like the death of her twin sister, but then learning exactly what happened and how she was murdered and everything, which we'll get into. Rogue Collecting says, smoke weed every day. Hey. He also says, Oddity was a bit predictable, but it didn't change my enjoyment overall. I could feel that.
Yeah,
There was a bit of it for me. I will say, like the big twist, which we'll get into, I totally did not see coming.
I remember what I was gonna say. Did that there was something where it was like brilliant. It was like kind of a story or a scene. It's always every scene is supposed to make sense and lead to something else.
Mm.
Not every movie's follow that criteria, but um, there was a scene where she was like questioning, like, well, then who killed my sister? And then the next scene is you don't know it at the time, but
Yeah.
they show who the killer is, and I was like,
Yeah, I mean, to me, especially on the second watch, I enjoyed this one again a little bit better on my second watch because you can
yeah,
see everything. There's so many things that you're finding out at the end that Darcy's motivations. Now you know them the whole time.
right,
The husband's like real motivations or real like past in history. But yeah, that moment when you see Ivan, spoiler alert, this guy that ends up being the killer, you look at him and he's got this crazy stare in his eyes. His cheeks are sunken in like fucking Tarkin from the Death Star. He looks like a skull. Like you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, he's the killer. Like I had no problem buying that this guy murders people right off the bat.
yeah.
But all right, well, let's just jump in. We'll go into it in further detail, but just overall, like, what was your thoughts on Oddity? You guys in the chat too.
I loved it, man. It was I think it was very atmospheric. Both of these movies had great cinematography. I think I
Yeah.
might give the
Yes.
edge to Cuckoo, but just a slight edge. I'll get into that later. But I
Hmm.
think the roles were fucking great. Everyone in this, I'm very I love it when I can watch a movie and like I'm like sometimes you watch a movie and no name actors kind of hold it back.
Hmm.
Sometimes I don't know. I don't. Let me phrase that better. Um, this seemed like a film, like especially with her being the leading lady. This
Hmm.
I didn't look into any of the other actors' career or filmography, but I was impressed by how well she carried this film and that she hasn't really been in much. Like this seems like
Hmm.
like you could have put a big name in this film and it still would have been
You could have put the girl from Game of Thrones in this film.
but I think it was very atmospheric, stylish in a subtle sense.
Hmm.
And what I liked about it is like it was like more of like the inclination or implying something. Like you didn't see too many of the violent acts. You saw subtle, like you would see a flash and it show like the afterwards or something like that. And I think that works so well for it, because it lets your
Definitely.
imagination kind of run wild as to how we ended up
It
to
keeps it
that.
like kind of classy too.
Yes.
Not that every murder needs to be classy in a horror movie. I don't give a shit. But this one is. This whole movie is
Yeah.
classy. Just
Yeah.
like I was
There's
saying with her and her blonde hair and her dress. There's just like the setting of the house that we're in. Her little oddities store. It like gives it this
oh yeah.
whole like aesthetic that's real
That
classy.
that's the fucking universe right there, bro. All the little trinkets in there that were cursed and
Yeah.
stuff. You could go and do it, kind of like the Annabelle stuff. I know they kind
Annabelle.
of,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's what I was thinking.
I was very impressed by this, man. This is man, I didn't see it coming, obviously, and it was like I got to start watching, going into movies blind, bro, because that I don't know. I might have like because sometimes you can have these preconceived notions of stuff, or like you set like watch a trailer and you're like, it looks kind of weak. So you go into the movie thinking it's already going to be weak,
Yeah.
subconsciously maybe.
Or vice
And
versa. Yeah.
yeah, or it's going to be dope. And you go into it and it's like, yeah, that was a dope movie, but in reality, you're just kind of hyping it up, because you
Hmm.
already
Well,
for it.
I
So
was falling victim. I think like the first time that I was watching this, I was hyping it up in my head already. I had been hearing people say it was, one of the best movies of the year. You had already watched it. You said it was quote a banger. So you know what I mean. I'm elevating it before I even watched it. But by the end of it, I was like, yeah, it's a fucking banger. And like I said, I
yeah,
enjoyed it even more the second time.
and for it to be such a slow burn, and it's not such a slow burn, but it's not super in your face,
It's
but the pacing
quiet,
is yeah, yes, it's very quiet, yeah. But I think that all that shit it worked in
totally.
spades. Everything complemented each other, so I was really impressed with this film.
Hell yeah, man. Before I get into my thoughts, read a couple things. Holy Parish of Doom says my most recent watches When Evil Lurks. Fuck yeah, we covered that when it came out. And a below the radar flick, The Atticus Institute, which I have not seen, which is a unique take on possession stories available on YouTube as well. Oh, that's another one. Just made me think that's on YouTube. Is that Milk and Cereal, I think is the name of it. It's like an hour-long YouTube thing that was getting some hype. I think it's only like 50 minutes actually. But that's worth checking out. It's free. It's on YouTube. Milk and Cereal spelled like serial killer with an S.
Oh, okay, okay.
Rogue say the soundtrack score, the sound design was fire on this.
Sound design was super impressive in this shit, bro.
Hell yeah. My overall thoughts is yeah, I fucking loved it. Like I said, the not holding your hand with the story, being able to follow it easily sets up a great mystery, and it's fucking scary. Like I thought there was some
Yeah.
moments in this movie that were flat out creepy and scary. There was one I'm watching it with headphones on when she's on the camera when
Yes.
Yana's on the camera and it flashes and you see this ghost face. I made a like one of those noises which I don't do too often, but I love it. I love it when it does work. And people talk shit about jump scares,
Yeah, that
but when they're done right, it is so effective. And yeah, it's not easy to do.
it's
This
amazing.
guy knew how to do the jump scares.
They
Also,
yeah,
no, go ahead.
sorry. No, I was gonna say every jump scare in this movie was earned, bro. Like,
Totally.
it's like you were saying, he knows how to do jump scares.
Yeah, it's like there's an art to it, and not everyone can really pull it off. You got to space them out. You can't have one and then 2 minutes later, you got to, you know what I mean? He really
Mm.
spaced out the creepy moments, kept the atmosphere in between the jump scares and the non jump scares, just like the extra creepy moments. But just another favorite moment. You kind of touched on it earlier. The kill in the tent, like the one main kill in the movie, or one of the few kills we get, is fucking insane. We
Yeah.
see the wife, she's in the tent. I have not figured out why she's taking pictures. This is the wife that gets murdered at the beginning. But like she's got her camera set to take pictures like every 5 seconds. Did you figure out why?
So that was like, I guess, her way of surveilling to see if she
Mm-hmm.
sees anything, but it's still, that wasn't gonna do much if there was somebody at the house.
Yeah.
But I guess that was her paranoia. She was just paranoid, and I feel like that was her way of trying to appease that paranoia. And but when she saw that, and then she opens up the tent, bro, and it's just like his face,
Yeah.
man, that's what
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. And she just sitting back screaming. And then I love how the camera goes from like a side profile. You see him kind of just
He
lingering there,
takes
and
he takes one step towards her with his
and it
hammer,
and
and
it
then it cuts
cuts.
back, and he's sitting down like he'd just been through some shit. He's full of blood, the tent's full of blood. And it's like this quick edit. It's like, whoa. I thought it's one of the coolest
Really?
like kill scenes in the history of cinema. For me, it
Yes,
really is. It was, and
yes.
you don't see shit. You see nothing, but it's so atmospheric.
I was gonna say there. Oh, speaking of atmosphere, bro, how the movie kind of, like, in the first 15 minutes, like it was pretty wild because it's like, you got the wife at the house by herself, and Olin does his thing, and it's just like
Mhm.
it builds this fucking atmosphere and like tension really quickly off the bat, because it's just like Olin. It's kind of crazy. His name's Olin, and he kind of reminded me of Odin. He had the
Ah,
weird eye, but
that's actually that actor is really missing an eye. And he's
no
been like
shit.
it. He uses it to get roles, more or less. Like he was in that Vikings TV show, Black Sails. Like he's like a pirate or a Viking and everything he
It
does.
fits
But
right in.
yeah, it fits this movie perfectly. They tie
Yeah.
his eye into the entire plot. It's so integral.
Because it's crazy. I was looking up on the director, and I guess he did a short film with Olin that kind of goes more into that character's backstory. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know if they touched on the mom's bit,
Hmm.
but off rip, like he's kind of he's a vagrant. He looks very dusty. Very untrustworthy.
Yeah.
Um, and
But
it's
also trustworthy at the same time. Like there's
yeah,
something
yes,
about him, like his look is untrustworthy, but his like dialogue and like the way he
yeah,
speaks, like, oh, I believe the guy. Like there was no doubt
especially.
in my mind that he was telling the truth until he starts like doing that little look at the end right before it flashes to the title card. Like he's
Oh yeah,
looking at the
yeah.
door, like, yeah, open it. Only one
Because
eye is moving around and
steps
shit.
back, bro, and you can see like the glimmer under his eye, and it cut. I thought that was one of the best openings I've seen in a minute, though, because with the oddity, and it has that music that starts playing.
Hell yeah.
But off rip, I was like, oh shit, like where's this going? Like I want to know where this is going. But yeah, this movie that just has many, that and probably the tent scene were probably my favorite. But there's a lot of little moments littered throughout this film where it's just
Yeah.
like it creeps up on you. You're like, oh shit.
Totally. The wooden man in general, crazy looking.
Yeah.
I had seen before they were doing like part of their marketing scheme was they were just like taking that wooden man, they were like setting it at a chess table in New York City and shit, just like putting him random places in very
Every day.
public places. So I kind of wish I hadn't even seen that. I wish I'd never seen the image of him or that he wasn't on the cover or whatever. But the moment where the girlfriend is on her phone upstairs and she looks down and the statue is is looking up at her, that got me too. There's so many moments with the statue that you're like, I don't know, they nailed it in so many ways.
At first, I think they did a great job with that because I was like, is that motherfucker moving, bro? Because I wasn't sure and if that was like intentional or not. But then you sure as shit it was. But yeah, they did that brilliantly. That was a great shot where it's like when the girlfriend's finally gets her keys and she like runs off the house and stops to turn back and the door's open. And you see the wooden man's face barely, bro. Oh,
That's fun. I thought it was the girl. Was it the wooden man at that point? I thought it
I
was.
she was controlling the wooden man. Well, obviously she was
Well,
controlling him.
there's a ghost at one point. The ghost of
Oh,
Darcy's sister,
sister. Yeah.
Danny. When she looks at the camera, all of a sudden Danny is in the camera, And then all of a sudden she freaks the fuck out, and so do I, and so does
Yeah,
Rogue.
yeah.
Rogue said he screamed at one point. I assume that was the point. And then she turns around and looks, and like the ghost of Danny is in the corner saying "Run," and it's fucking yeah. I think that's her face that's kind of creeping out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's fucking terrifying.
Oh,
And we watch a
shit.
lot of scary shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how often do we? It's crazy how many times we'll get together and talk about a horror movie and not mention being scared
Something.
or any
Yeah.
scary moments. It's like mostly we're just talking about the themes and the story and the acting and the characters.
Cool.
You're never like, it's so rare that like, oh yeah, no, that was fucking scary. So it's like I give a movie a shit ton of credit. Let me catch up with the chat just a little bit. Parish of Doom saying my most recent watch. Oh, never mind, I already did that one. This is what I'm going for. Haha, my family and I are always several flicks behind. So yeah, I watched it a few weeks ago. And Terrified is the one he's trying to mention here. Terrified, not Terrifier, which is from the director of When Evil Lurks. It's another one that's got like this incoherent kind of storyline, but it has moments in it that are like some of the scariest moments that I've ever seen in a movie. It's really, really, really scary movie as well.
Did it come out after or before?
Before When Evil Lurks. I think it was maybe Damien Rugna is the director of When Evil Lurks. I think it was his first film, but I'm not sure. Rogue saying, not sure if it was just because I was having a good time or not, but I actually screamed during that jump scare when she's getting out of the tent and we see the mask. Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. For people that haven't seen it, like we said, she's got this camera going like on a timer every 6 minutes. She gets into this tent and she's like reviewing the camera and she sees a picture of a guy right outside the tent that just happened. So she's in this tent in this dead silent house, and just her trying to unzip the zipper. You're like, oh, you're fucking dead. Like, there's no way you're gonna live. And they pull it off too. They build it up, and then the payoff is everything that you want it to be.
Yeah.
Doom's out of here. I think he's ditching for the spoilers. Says, thanks for this, guys. I work remotely, saw this was on and just popping in for a few. Later, creeps. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, the tent was such a great cut and gave a great impact. Could not agree more, man. Could not agree more. Fucking badass. Says, love the beginning with the curious guys. What would you do if someone showed up at the door like that? I would scream. I sure as shit wouldn't let him in.
No,
I don't know. I love the way that they set it up though. That's like another thing with the storytelling is like they keep on giving us something and then we flash back to what really happened or the bits of it that we didn't see or just a little extended part of where they left off earlier. And that was great. That was great. They leave you thinking you know what happens, and then they come back and they just show you.
They reveal
exactly what. But you don't know if it's true until
right.
the end or maybe ever. Like I don't know. I'm trying to think. Do we ever like really verify? I guess we do. We do verify that everything that Darcy's telling us that she gets through her psychic powers is true for the most part. We see it.
What she have? I think they said at the beginning she had that shit where she could like some form where she could touch something and pick up like the history of the item. Yeah, I forget what that's called.
It's a bit of it's a bit of like not a cheat. I don't know. It's a way to make the writing easier. She doesn't have to go do, which is cool because I don't always want the investigation part of a movie. I didn't need her to go and search and learn about this killer. Like she just touches it, fast forward, and we get all the information. But they say she's got brain cancer, or they imply she has cancer near the brain. So that is like puts doubt in your head the whole time. Like later on, when she confronts, I'll spoil the shit out of this movie in a moment. But when she confronts her sister's killer, and he's like, I'm gonna call the cops right now. You're gonna tell them what you're telling me. And they're going to tell you that this is all in your head. And I'm thinking like, maybe he's right. Maybe this is in her head. She's got brain cancer. And just planning that there was great.
That was a great scene too. Like you were just talking about an example of where it's like they show you one scene and then they show you there was more to that scene.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Which is, we'll get to it. Let's go ahead and actually jump in and spoil the whole fucking movie, right? This is what happens in Oddity. Like in chronological order, what happens is a man married to a woman, got a girlfriend, doesn't want to be with the wife anymore. Instead of being like, hey, I got to leave you, he decides she loves. This is like one of the things that kind of bugs me. His motivation, she loves me too much. There's no way. But it's really for the house. Yeah, he won't end up getting the house, which I guess is fair enough. but just like she'll never get over me. I've got to kill her instead of divorcing her. So he asked his this guy that he works with, this freaky, crazy looking, skull faced orderly named Ivan,
like,
to go and kill his wife, and he's the one in the mask, in the trench coat, that kills the wife. And she learns all this by touching this eye of the guy that is accused of killing her. That then she went and killed the guy afterwards. So she ends up paying for it at the end. And we'll get there. But long story short, she comes and confronts her dead sister's ex-husband and says, "I know that it was you." She reveals it slowly. At first, she says she knows that it was Ivan, this guy that he knows. And we're like, oh, shit. And then she's like, "And you sent him." I'm like, "Oh, double shit." You know what I mean? I thought that was a great reveal. So here's my issue. Like, probably my biggest issue with the movie. It's just a stupid bit of writing. Is he's like, "Okay, I'm going to set my phone right here in the one spot in the house that has service. You are sitting right here." Okay, phone's here. You're here. I'm going to pull. You just happen to be in the perfect spot for me to pull a trap door. You're blind. I'm going to leave, call the phone, and you're going to get up and walk to it and fall down this fucking hole. It's like, I don't know. To me, that was like some pretty sloppy writing right there.
Before they have revealed that on my first watch, I did find myself thinking, I was like, why don't you just hand her the phone, bro? Walk over and give her the phone. Like, it's, Joe, when she, I don't know, maybe you give her the phone and she'll walk to the part of the house that has cell phone service. I don't know,
Yeah.
But I did find that to be a little sloppy, but they end up pulling it off well enough. I kind of reinforces what a piece of shit the husband is, or
totally
sister's husband.
Yeah. Well, what did you think just overall of like the plot twist, the reveal, that whole bit, and just like the implications of it all?
Oh, I don't mind it. I knew something was up. I mean, I think the film kind of sets it up, not too early on, but the husband is definitely he's no good.
I never suspected him, bro. I never suspected him, not once, until she blames him. I was like, whoa. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm curious. Anybody else that watched, at what point did you start to suspect that the husband was involved?
Yeah, now you got me quick.
Oh, this is another great moment, Rogue. Yeah. When the new girlfriend is pulling those objects out of the wooden man's head. First of all, she's great too. Yana is like, she's maybe like the second most important actor in the movie, because she's the one getting a lot of the dialogue. She's our perspective character in a way, which is cool, because she's like, I don't know, it's a weird character to make as the perspective character.
Because obviously, it's this twin sister versus the husband, but she's just neutral. She's a bystander of this vendetta they got.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. Rogue saying his wife called the husband right away. Classic. That's one thing I kind of wish that they could have done, is maybe leave us dangling a little bit longer to find out whether or not she's involved in it or not. Because when she calls the doctor, you can kind of tell right there that, oh, she's definitely not involved. They could have strung that out a little bit longer, I guess.
Yeah, because it's just, I don't know. It may be I feel like she kind of exited the film kind of early, and I don't want to say there's no point for being around, but I think they could have tied her into the story a little bit more.
I love no, go ahead, please.
No, I was just, he kind of, his ultimate goal was the house. It's really, he kind of gave two shits when Yana left him. He was just like, as long as the house. So I don't know. Maybe that was his cover for everything.
It was kind of, you're right. Like she exits early. What happens to her? She doesn't die, right? She just leaves.
She just gets scared off and never comes back, because she sees the ghost at the house. And
that's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to take a character that's that central to the whole story. She just disappears and we never see back from her. But it doesn't bother me. It's just kind of it's just kind of weird. But again, like her performance, I have her name written down right here. What is it? Yana Caroline Menton. Another one. Like all these, this is an Irish made film, and a lot of them have just been in like British TV shows and movies that I haven't seen. So there's nobody in it that's a big name.
Well, maybe it's a testament to her acting ability, that because she brought so much to this role that it was maybe throwaway or not that central to the
could have been. Most movies, it's a throwaway role.
Yeah, Because I feel like in Cuckoo, Dan Stevens then
Oh,
kind of like had that, like his. We'll get to that, but
hmm,
I feel like his role was kind of the same ilk. Like he brought a lot to a role that wasn't supposed to be important, but he's kind of
totally.
one of the bigger draws of that film for me.
For me too. For me too. Definitely.
But yeah,
All right.
should
All right. Let's go. Yeah. Rogue saying, man, Dan Stevens is good. Hell yeah. We'll,
yeah,
we'll get to it. But yeah, man, really fucking good. So the movie ends by basically let's try and wrap this thing up. What happens? Darcy ends up falling down.
hmm
The doctor sends Ivan, the person that murdered the wife, to the house to take care of her. She ends up doing this weird shit, touching her house. We are connected, she says, and she's controlling this big wooden statue that she brought to the house, and it's about to kill Ivan. And right before it does, it looks like she dies. Right, it
hmm
seems like she dies, but she just like she passes out or whatever. She can no longer control it. So Ivan lives, and then now he's locked up. The doctor locks him up in his psychiatric hospital uh, because he has the power to do that, and he has him killed. The guy has this patient come out, eat him, starting with the toes. Is the way it looks, and
fucked
then
up.
Darcy. It appears right. This is the way you read it. Darcy appears to have lived, and they borrow Hannibal Lecter's fucking mouth guard and they put her in it. Like, did you notice that that's her in that mouth guard?
No,
She
was it?
At one point early in the movie, they just flash to one patient that's wearing this Hannibal Lecter fucking rig, and you only see him from the back. And now at the end of this movie, that's the guy that I assume, I'm pretty fucking sure, the guy
That
that
was
was
in
wearing
the
the Hannibal Lecter thing is the one
yeah
that's biting the toes of Ivan. And
yeah.
they flash to it, and it's Darcy is the one in the Hannibal Lecter getup. So she leaves. I don't get it though, because it doesn't make any sense. Because the doctor's on the phone with Yana, and she's saying, I can't believe you're living out there now that two people have died there, which implies that Darcy
That-
died there. And the
yeah.
cops must have came. So I don't know, but I'm like
Maybe she was
99%
in.
sure that that's her in the hospital.
Maybe she because she put her. I guess maybe she was soul hopping. Like she could put her soul into the wooden man. Maybe she was able to inhabit the cannibal dude at
Mm.
the end or something. I don't know. I
We're
don't.
dealing with witchcraft here. Yeah, my man says
True.
some witchy shit. So I mean, and like I said, they're not holding your hand and everything. They're not explaining everything. There's a lot open to interpretation. So
Yeah.
totally possible. Rogue, did you notice that? Did you notice Darcy at the hospital at the end? Or anybody else watching? If you're watching on the replay,
Damn, man.
put it
Not
in the
even.
comments below.
I have to go
I'm
back
like
and.
99% sure. I'm
I believe
positive it's that chick. But
the last scene though, bro. Man, kind of it's like the movie starts off brilliant and kind of ends on a brilliant. There's that's one thing the movie does is kind of stick its landing that I respect. That's not
totally.
easy for a lot of movies don't achieve this. Even great movies don't achieve it. But they kind of they stick the landing where it's just like everyone kind of gets theirs, for the
Hmm.
misdeeds they've done in some sense.
Even Darcy, because Darcy
Yeah,
killed the innocent man.
yeah, Nolan.
Whether she's dead or she's locked up at the end. Rogue saying he did not catch that it was her. He's got to go back and check. So either way, she gets her comeuppance for killing Olin.
Yeah, yeah. She said she was gonna pay her dues, and it's
Yeah.
almost like his his cockiness in the end because he thought he had all this power and he didn't believe in the witchy shit, so he rings that bell and you see the fucking bellhop just standing behind him in the last scene. I was like,
It's
yes,
fucking badass. Because
yeah,
they set that up. Like I had forgot all about it. Darcy really leads into that story about this magic bell or this possessed bell, haunted bell. Rogue's asking, did they ever explain how Darcy killed the one-eyed guy? They
oh,
never explained it, but she dragged him out of bed and smashed his fucking head. It looks
so I think
crazy.
she it was with the wooden inhabited the wooden man or whatever, and because remember because that confused me at
Hmm.
the beginning
Had to
because
be. You're right. I never thought of it till now. Yeah.
no, because I was like, all right, so I thought Olin, because after that scene, it cuts to the bald dude sketching. He's got the beard. I thought that was Olin,
Yeah.
and then when he finds the body, that didn't dawn on me until like my second watch. I picked it up, but it wasn't until the end that I was like, oh shit, that was Olin she killed at the beginning,
Yeah.
like So yeah, I think
And you definitely don't think it's her that killed him.
right.
You know what I mean? That's a big reveal too. And it's just kind of thrown in there. But yeah, I love the line. She's like, I'll pay for that. But no, I bet you are right. She's got it, because that's what I was thinking. They really make a point that she's a frail, small, blind woman. How is
Hmm.
she dragging this guy out of bed and smashing his head in the smithereens? Duh, you're right. Of course, it was the wooden man. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Well, yeah, I think we done did it, brother. If you got anything else, go ahead and throw it in. But let's hear your rating, man. I'm curious.
Man, this was just a surprise hit. You know, came out of nowhere. Didn't have big big name actors, which I really respect. I appreciate that. And it was. I'm not one for supernatural movies are hit or miss for me, but this was such a hit. I just think they nailed everything. You know, they
It
got
was
the
like a reveal that it was a ghost story, like
yeah
25-30 minutes in. It was like, oh, cool. Because you had already
this is
kind of got some home invasion slasher shit.
right.
And now it's a ghost story. And I thought that was a really cool way to set it up.
It had a nice blend of different little genres, or shot
Hmm.
nods to different genres. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. I was just really impressed with this movie. Just great performances, great pacing, great cinematography, great script. The fact that it's like the director's second, both of these directors haven't done much, which was
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive. But I'm gonna give this one a solid 4 out of 5. Um, with room for improvement. Four is a really, I don't want to get too hype, but
Yeah.
really, really impressed by these, and I think they're well worth anyone's time. And definitely, this is one of the best horror movies that's come out this year.
Definitely. It might be my favorite. It might be. It's close. I only gave Long Legs a 4, and that would be the other one. That and Late Night with the Devil. Late Night
Yeah,
with the Devil, I feel like I gave a 4.5, but I feel like I might have been a little overzealous on that one. I don't know.
that
There
was
was
a good.
something about it, but I mean, I don't know. Well, you want me to go ahead and give my score? Or do you have
Yo,
more to
yeah,
say? Okay, I'm gonna go a 4.25, because I do.
respect.
The first time watching it, I would have been like 3.75. I think I was too hyped up. I wasn't. I
Right.
don't know. I wasn't. There was something about it. I loved it the second time. I'm tempted to give it like a 4.5. It's fucking awesome. It's a movie that everybody should see. Definitely one of the best of the year.
Let me, I'll bump it up at 4.25 because it was really solid and I was impressed with that. Like at four is really that four is a good score, but the
Yeah,
fact that I
yeah,
was really impressed with that this came out of nowhere, man, it deserves a
yeah.
little extra nudge.
That
Um,
casting, dude. Like
yeah,
everybody across the board. It's a small cast. Everybody's awesome. The
yep.
doctor's awesome. Olin's awesome. The orderly Ivan, Yana, and Darcy playing two roles. It's like that is hot fire. The
Hmm.
music, like Rogue mentioned, the sound design. I agree.
So
The Cuckoo, which we'll get into real shortly, it's more stylized. It's got like probably the better cinematography. But
yes.
this one, like they're doing a lot with a little. It's
Hmm.
all in the one setting. That's another really cool thing about it, is like the real isolated setting in the cool house. It's just a cool fucking chill movie that some people aren't gonna dig because
Right.
of like it's not the slow pace, it's the quiet nature of the movie. It's like a lot of
Very
sitting
subtle.
around
Yeah.
and talking, but
Hmm.
for me, the dialogue is fire. Like the scenes with Darcy and Yana sitting there, she's like, "Do I sound stupid?
I
Or
love that.
do I
Yeah.
look stupid?" That was so well written. There's just like, I don't know, they were spot on with the dialogue.
That was
Yeah, Rogue
great.
saying the house is a character. Who the fuck would
Yeah.
move there? And he sunk every the way that the doctor says, "I've put everything into that house." Like it almost makes me think there's something that we
More
don't
going
know
on.
about. Yeah, there's something maybe like even sinister that happened with how he got the house or whatever.
He was running
Like,
an operation. You
I
saw
want,
that he kind of was like one of those psychiatrists who didn't, obviously didn't care about people, but he obviously, I mean, who knows what type of shit he was running on his patients in the
yeah,
ward, like.
sitting there hanging out with Ivan playing chess with the most sinister looking motherfucker that's ever lived. I love it. Ivan's like that's another
Wow.
cool, like well written aspect of it, is like there's all this implied backstory with Ivan. He's like,
Yeah.
that blind nun that I told you about. at that boys' school that I grew up in. He's like, I go there and I fuck up this cross once a year. He's like, you want to go with me? The doctor's like, no, I don't want to spend any time outside of work with you at all. No, thank
It wasn't really a great scene, but I think of a good example of the dialogue you were talking about is where he's like, they're talking about him, the doctor's telling him he wants his wife killed, and he's like, maybe something extra happens. He's like, no, I just don't do that. That's terrible. Just
you. Yeah.
he's like, you don't want anything bad to happen to her. You just want her killed. You know, kind of like motherfucker. You just like that's one of the awful evil.
It's what if the what is the line? I actually wrote the line down because specifically exactly what he says is fucked up. He says, oh, I need to find it. The way he words it implies that he's done this before. He's like, well, what
Oh,
if things like the guy that kills her says, well, what if things end up turning sexual? He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, well,
right.
sometimes you have in the heat of the moment, you have your hand on their throat, and these things happen. It's like, how many times have you had your, hand on someone's throat doing this? So
He
that
made it
definitely
sound like
implies,
it was another Tuesday. You know, like
yeah.
out,
I agree. That could be a whole fucking spin-off. Is what has this doctor been doing in this hospital this whole time? Now, obviously, they won't do that. It's not that type of like movie,
right.
but the fact that
They
there
could
could
use it.
be
Yeah,
is impressive about it. So hell yeah, man. A 4.25 from both of us. Rogue, did you 4.5 from Mr. Rogue
respect. Hell yeah.
Collecting. All right, my brother. So that was Oddity from 2024. And let us now dive in to Cuckoo, also from 2024. Again, this one not out streaming for free, but you can rent it on Fandango, Amazon Prime, and places like that. The quick IMBD synopsis: a 17-year-old girl is forced to move with her family to a resort where things are not quite what they seem. I added the
Best
quite just to spice it up a little bit. Did you feel the spice? Part of the reason that barely even like touches or breaks the surface on what this movie is really what is going on in this movie. It's a convoluted plot, and I
Yeah.
think it's like in so many ways it's badass. For me, I don't the only thing I didn't like about it, I didn't think they stuck the ending. By the end of it, I'm
Yes.
like, whoa, what is like there's a lot fucking going on in the movie. But the setup is fire. We mentioned the style. Like I read one review on this and it said like it almost they wished it would lean into the B moviness of it a little bit more because it really has that like fun, like super stylized, but like it could have been maybe a little bit more campy
Yeah.
and been a little bit more fun. And
Yep.
I don't know why not because it wasn't a movie that was like really taking itself too seriously or anything, but it wasn't having as much fun as it could have, although it was
Yeah.
fun for sure.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. There was like even like there was weird with the maybe it's not the cinematography. Yeah, cinematography, but it's like everything was it's a, like a light. It's a bright. There's a lot of bright color palettes in the
Yes.
movie, but it feels cold and sterile at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. It feels artificial, even though it's supposed to be bright and be welcoming.
It's weird
Um,
how it's I mean, I don't know, because it's one of the positives of the film for me is it's super atmospheric.
yeah,
And for a movie that almost like shouldn't be. You know what
yeah,
I mean? If they would have tipped the scale over to the fun a little bit more, they would have lost some of the atmosphere. So maybe that was the right way to go. I don't know. Here's my thing. It wasn't perfect for me, but I think some people this will be their favorite movie of the year. There's some people
yeah,
like the little things that didn't bug me, it's not gonna or the little things that did bother me won't bug you at all, and they're gonna be like fucking incredible. And I
yeah.
respect that too. I totally get that.
I think between these two, that Oddity was a better made movie, but I think Cuckoo was more fun. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
obviously more
definitely.
fun. You know, it's the pacing. The both of them had great pacing in different aspects. This one is kind of doesn't let up until the very end. There's always something
Yeah.
keep what's going on next.
Right. The highs in this are higher. They're not
Yeah,
as scary, although there's some creepy moments, but there's more like action and intensity
yeah.
in this one where
So
Oddity's all about the chillness.
even though it's one of the scenes that fucking hooked me and made me want to see this in the trailer, but it was the bicycle scene, one of the best scenes in the movie. They, you know, I feel like putting it in the trailer, you know, it was still great to see it. They implemented it well in the movie as a scene, but I was like, imagine seeing that shit without
I,
having. I don't know if you saw the trailer.
I didn't. No, I never
So
watch it.
you
Yeah.
know.
I thought it was my favorite moment of the movie.
Okay.
I would have been so pissed if I would have seen it
Yep.
in the trailer. To me, it was the and
Yeah.
if for
I
people
was
that
like,
haven't seen it, let me let me ruin it for you the way the trailer did for Link. It's basically it's she's riding her bike like running from some shit, or she doesn't even know she's running from some shit at that point. Maybe
yeah,
she does, and the camera just goes off and like way into the distance, we just see this fucking crazy zombie type
and it's at
chick
nighttime.
running, and then it goes right back to her face, and I don't know. There's something about it that
She's
looks
just
so
fucking
cool.
terrifying.
I love
Yeah,
anything like
like
that that times out. When you have the camera on something, you move it away, and then you move back, and like something else is happening, or like I don't know. Anytime that they can choreograph things to move into a scene like that is I love.
no, yeah, the movie. I think one of the strengths in this is actually this had a really good cast too. I think everyone
Mm-hmm.
played the role well. But
It had a
cinematography,
good cast. I don't think they nailed it with the characters as far as
yeah,
like fleshing everybody out or making everybody feel like a not equal part, but I don't know. It was really just Dan Stevens and the main chick that
hmm
shined, and everybody else was really good and could have shined more.
yeah. It's even some of the minor characters, like the hotel clerk girl that ends up getting slimed.
Mm-hmm.
But like I found like this movie gets a little messy. It was still a great ride, but it gets a little messy towards the end. Like I don't what did we ever find out what happened to the dad and the stepmom?
That's one of my biggest lingering things is I feel like it's a two things. I feel like they're trying to maybe set up a franchise totally
Hmm
with the way that it ends, which we'll get to. And all or they were just like, fuck it, with certain things
Man,
because like what was the dad's involvement? Did he know anything? He might have, but they
I
didn't.
don't they that's something that it was very messy and convoluted in that aspect. Like we never knew there were certain scenes that made it seem like the dad was just there as an architect because I guess him and the stepmom helped design the little resort that he
Mm-hmm.
was setting up. But I don't. Then I had questions about this little younger sister. Who we find out is so spoiler alert. This resort, Dan Stevens is a crazy doctor who's met this like subspecies of human that look like us but aren't us, and they they breed by inseminating other human women, and then the human
Yeah.
women will carry the child to term. I guess is
Hence,
the
hence the cuckoo name, because I guess that's how cuckoo birds
put
they
their
lay their
eggs in.
eggs in other birds' nests and have other birds raise their young. So that's the idea here. They
Ooh,
inseminate humans, and then the humans give birth to them and raise them until they're ready to like come back into the group.
the
And
fall. Okay.
they have these weird fucking powers where they move their throat, which looks awesome, and they can like this is another thing that I guess that kind of bugs me. They put you into like a time loop, but they
Yeah.
never really explain that. Not the thing that everything needs to be explained, but I felt like they could have touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
It told us more like what was with the time loops.
That bothered me because I was like, okay, so it's almost like what was the point? Like, what's this really? How's it? Do they think they're doing this, and that's what we're seeing in their head? They're thinking they're making all these actions, in
Or is it
reality,
happening?
yeah, right. I
Yeah.
was really there was some messiness. This movie just looks so well, and the pacing's so great, and I think the main actress Hunter Schafer, I believe,
Yeah.
she was a great final girl.
Hmm.
Um, very,
And Dan Stevens, dude. I'm
yeah,
so glad that we reviewed Abigail because you were already familiar with it before that. I wasn't. So like seeing him in Abigail and then seeing him in this doing a perfect German accent. Not that I'm the
he's
fucking the judge of that kind of thing, but he wasn't
no,
like
he's a
doing the
great one.
very like he wasn't like making a cartoon German accent. The dude
But it
was
was
totally believable. Like,
Yes, yeah. I feel like I was actually looking him up after this movie because I was like, this has been he hasn't been everywhere, but I feel like this was like his most popular year. Like he was in Abigail. Horror fans are gonna check that out. Horror fans are gonna check this out. He was in the King Kong movie that came out earlier this
oh,
year.
okay.
And before that, it's not been big stuff. So this has been like his biggest year. But I've discovered him in it was like 2017. The show
Mhm.
Legion was coming out, and
Oh,
he was
okay.
in this movie called Colossal, or that came out around the same time. And I've just been keeping my eye on him ever since, man, because I think he knocked it out the park in Legion. But
Is he Legion?
yes, he's the main character.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Dude, there's something about him. He's got these like fucking bright blue eyes, and like they're
piercing.
so steady. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's fucking piercing, burning holes in people's faces as he talks to him in the movie. I don't know. He's incredibly sinister and just so goddamn watchable.
Man, I think I really think he like I was thinking about how everything wrapped up, and I was like, man, maybe it was just Stan Stevens' greatness as an actor that he made this doctor seem bigger than what maybe the doctor wasn't supposed to be. Like, we never find out how the doctor discovered the species, why he's doing this. It's just kind of
Yeah. See,
got
I don't know. There's things like that where I think it's like, oh, we don't have to tell the audience everything. Where I get annoyed when I hear people review other movies, and I'm like, you don't need everything explained. But I don't
right.
know. There's some things that feel like they deserve a little bit more. It feels more
That's
like hand wavy, like, oh, don't worry, don't look behind the curtain. It's like,
you just
no, they should have done a little bit more. And plus, it's just weird. Why is there this subspecies of humans that are like, they make it clear they're not related to us? They're just a subspecies of, they're not, no, not even a subspecies. That's the wrong way to word it. They are a completely
right
separate species that just happens to
to
look
look
exactly
like
like us.
yeah.
Or whatever. But
Have
if you, it doesn't ruin the movie, but there are things that kind of dig it.
There was this movie that came out, maybe it was
Mhm.
about 5 years ago, like 2019, 2020. It had Jesse Eisenberg in it and Morgan Poots. Uh,
Yeah.
and it was called like Vivarium or some shit
I
like that.
watched it on your recommendation. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
it
wild
kind
movie.
of reminded me of this in a sense. This was probably a little bit more exciting, but the whole them raising, because in that Vivarium, the kid could sound just like them, or if he didn't get what he wanted, he made
Hmm.
that weird
Yeah.
shit, and then
He's
when
like
he
a
wouldn't try,
human like alien. Like a
yeah.
human like alien that can do some freaky deaky shit. Rogue saying he liked Vivarian. Yeah, that is a good call. When you brought that up, I forgot even about that aspect of the movie. I just remember them being trapped in this like simulated, like a video game almost.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
not
it
quite, but like
was
this simulated universe.
that they
Um.
can't leave.
All right. So basically, let me ask you, just like we've touched on fucking quite a bit on Cuckoo already, but just as far as like the setup for me, I think that this is the best part of the movie. Is like, she's this fish out of water. She's going to Germany. She doesn't speak fucking German. Her parents are helping build this resort, and there's all these different mysteries going on. Suddenly, her younger sister, who's like her half
Yeah,
sister,
yeah.
that's one thing that's weird about it. The kid is Asian. There's a reveal later on that her mom, they show the mom. The mom is this hooded woman that's been chasing the older sister around the whole movie. She's not Asian. So you know what I mean? Why
Well,
is the
see,
why
that's
is the kid Asian? Is that how that species works?
I think like when they inseminate the women, the daughters come out looking like the woman who carried them, but
Right.
they are of the species of alien, like
Do they ever show her? Do they show Gretchen's mom who's dead?
no, but
She's
the
probably not Asian because Gretchen's not Asian. Not that it
no,
matters, but it
because
does. It like throws you off. You're like, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on?
Gretchen's mom, yeah, Hunter's the main character's mom, her mom died, and that the chick Jessica Henswick, the stepmom,
Mm-hmm.
she was the daughter, or she was the mom of
Okay. Duh, duh,
half
duh.
sister.
Yeah. There's too many moving parts in this fucking
No,
movie
yeah,
to keep it
very
all
much.
straight.
Yeah. And then let's another messy part, the detective. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it. I guess they needed an aspect of someone who wanted to bring this operation down, but it's like his motivation was a little goofy. It's like, your wife, you watched your wife suffocate, but somehow you can remember this encounter, but no one else can. Um,
Mm-hmm. He was
I,
fuzzy,
wa-
and his turn at the end was a little bit weird too. He's one, like, I thought his performance was good. It was just the whole, like, not the whole thing, but there were aspects of the characters mainly that were sloppy. A lot of
yes,
loose writing and things that weren't tied together. But the rest of the mystery, she's working at the gift shop. She sees like guests from the hotel are just kind of wandering around, like kind of zombie like, and then throwing up. So she's seeing random people throw up. I'm getting Get Out vibes. I'm like, okay, they're like taking people's
fucking with their
brains
heads.
out of their heads, or like, they're transplanting brains over here. And then she's getting chased around by this crazy hooded woman with these glasses and red eyes, and then you've got Dan Stevens being suspicious, and then these time loops. So just like I don't know, I guess we've kind of already touched on it, but just any thoughts on just like the setup of the mystery and how I think that's like the best executed part of it. This folk horror touch of it too. There's a
Yeah,
sci-fi folk horror mystery thriller thing going on.
yeah. I got like a even though I know it was a more modern movie, I got like maybe it's because it's like the style, like people's style, the hairstyle, like particularly the chick that was helping the hunters or
Mm-hmm.
Gretchen's work at the main desk girl.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like the music, I got like 80s vibes,
Yeah,
even though
yeah,
like a modern movie. Um, but no, I think the mystery worked well. Like I said, like you the ending is a little sloppy, but it's never where you're like let down. Like you're still on the edge. You want to see how this movie plays out.
right.
It's boring. There's always
Totally.
something leading to the next scene. So I think that yeah, the mystery worked well. It was just the execution of the reveal of everything going on was a little weak.
Right.
But
Well, okay. So the ending, which we get like a pretty action packed finish, where that's one of the big things. This detective that's been helping our main character like detect shit this whole time. Like you said, his wife was killed by one of these cuckoos. So
mhm,
his goal, we find out his goal is to kill all the cuckoos. Well, Gretchen's little sister is one of these cuckoos. So when she realizes that, she's now in the middle where she's protecting the sister. We've got Dan Stevens trying to kill her. We've got the detective Henry trying to kill everybody, and she's literally right in the middle of them, like
point
sneaking her sister out. Her sister uses her little powers, fucking disarms them enough so that they can make the fucking escape. And
mhm,
then this is another thing. When I read it on Wikipedia, they're like, and then they kill each other. Dan Stevens and the detective, they kill each other. But really, we never see that.
we
Like,
just hear that
this
shit.
is a movie, so clearly they did that shit intentionally. Either that or they ran out of budget. They're like, whatever. But
Who
so it's
knows?
yeah. So they're leaving at the end. It's like they're setting up a sequel where she still has one of these cuckoos, and who knows how many of them are left back at the place. And we
Hmm.
don't know whether the detective or Dan Stevens are alive. The detective, for my money, he can be dead. Keep Dan Stevens for the sequel for
Yes.
sure. Keep him alive. But here's my biggest issue with it. It could have been this real big moment because Gretchen doesn't, the main character doesn't really like her little sister, her little mute sister. And like by the end of it, clearly she does. She's risking her life enough to save her. But like
Mhm.
that didn't pay off in the way that like it fully could have in that
Absolutely agree.
moment. And then the whole thing with Henry is a little convoluted. There's just like one or two many moving pieces. And then just the reveal that we fully learn is a little too convoluted to be like, wait, what? You know what I mean?
Mm,
The whole time you really have to like think hard to figure out what the fuck is going
everything
on
think
and what you
yeah.
just watched when the movie ends.
Yeah. I know I that was one of my biggest nitpicks too. I'm glad you brought that up. Was the resolution with Gretchen and Alma, I think was the younger sister, is like obviously, yeah, little sister was a great job, especially for being a mute character. She's
Totally. Yeah.
mute expressions. Um, I don't think like they achieved like because she had such a disdain for her sister. Like so towards the end when I get what they're going for, but I
Hmm.
don't feel like it was earned. Where it's like we didn't show them really bonding too much throughout the film for her to want.
Yeah.
You know what? I gotta save this my little younger half sister who I've really almost hated up until this point.
Hmm.
But the turn kind of comes so quickly. I don't say, it's not, it reminded me of like Game of Thrones, the final season where Daenerys goes batshit crazy. Like, had they extended another season to kind of show her fall into Descent of Madness, where the final season where she's fucking killing everybody, it makes more sense. It was
Yeah.
almost like a life moment where she was like, Daenerys was cool and trying to do everything right, and now she's just an evil bitch. It was almost like that's how it felt with this, where it's like she really had such a disdain for her sister, and then out of nowhere, almost it seems like I've got to save my younger sister, but they didn't really show anything as to why she would want to do
Yeah.
that. There were little scenes, but like you said, I feel like the resolution for that, like they could have done more with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
They could have just like nailed it. We both had zero problem figuring out what they were trying to do. I
Sure.
just didn't like actually feel like I could imagine a movie doing that same ending and me really feeling it, me getting like
Right.
emotional and being like, yeah, or whatever. And it just didn't hit. I was like, I don't know. I just didn't, I wanted it to me. I don't know. It was just like, maybe Dan Stevens was just too good in the
Yeah.
movie. And I wanted him to play a bigger role. Fucking Henry Irons or fucking Jeremy Cavill. Where did he go to? There's this cop in the movie, and maybe he wasn't ever supposed to be as important as what he was in my mind. And
Right.
we talked about it. He looked like the love child of Henry Cavill and Jeremy Irons, and I'm trying to figure out for a while, like, who is this guy? Is this Henry Cavill's little brother? Like he looked, but did we see him like die or something? Do you remember?
No, him and Dan Stevens, they like you said, we hear the gunshots go off, but we never see if they even hit each other. It's
Yeah.
just some
Oh no, I'm
private.
talking not Henry, not the detective, the Henry Cavill guy, the the love child of Henry Cavill and Jeremy Irons, the other cop,
Oh, that was dating.
like the bad guy. Yes, yeah, the one that was. Did he die?
He, yeah, the in the motel, and
Oh, okay. All right. You're right. As soon as you said dating that girl, I'm like, okay, I'm fucking this up. So I guess that's probably why he didn't come back at the end. I guess that's a pretty fucking good reason for it. All right. Well, I think we've done it, my brother. Let's go ahead and rate this bad boy. Any final thoughts? You guys in the chat, anything you want to get in about Cuckoo 2024? Get it in. What do you
uh,
think?
I think it was a great ride. Great characters, great cast. I wish they could have done more with a little bit of the characters, but maybe it's like just the credibility to the actors that they chose.
Mhm.
Um, Great pacing. The cinematography is probably one of my favorites of the year, to be honest, in terms of films I've seen. Uh, I think the length is good. I think it's a great idea. I just think it gets a little messy towards the end.
Mhm.
It's not terrible. It's not, every time there's a
No.
lot of films that are great that don't nail the landing or stick the
Right.
landing, but
Well, that's one thing I want to clarify is I do get it. I did get it. It's just hard to get. You know
yes,
what I
it's
mean? It's not
complicated.
as clear as like you want it to be. You really got to be
Right.
like, okay, hold on, let me
You
write this
gotta
down.
piece it. Okay, I guess that kind of flows. Yeah, and I guess they did. But like you said, like we don't know what happened to the dad or the stepmom at the end of the day. Like they're
Hmm.
just kind of how we kind of criticize Oddity about having Yana kind of leave her midway through the film, but at
Hmm.
least there's a reason, like if
Yeah.
she saw some shit she wasn't cool with, and it was like, I can't do it anymore. The parents just kind of disappear in this film. We don't. There is nothing that I really don't know. I watched this film twice, and I was really looking out the second time. Was there something they implied that happened to the parents?
Right.
No,
The
they
dad,
just
they should have like died in the third act
yeah,
so that she felt even more isolated. She's in
protective
this
of
foreign country and now she's totally really is on her own. The
that. You know what? I wonder if that was like a deleted scene or something, because that would,
hmm.
if they had a scene like that where it showed like the parents were dead, it would make sense as to why she felt so protective of Alma all of a sudden.
Yep. Yeah, that's a
Oh,
good point. Now that she's found out she's not human, she's way more protective over her. She's
oh,
nowhere. She's not my sister at all. But now I care.
right.
Now I care.
But I think Hunter Schafer, the main, she's one of the better new scream queens I've seen. I really dug her.
She's like a
Dan
more talented Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter.
Yeah, yeah, got the same haircut. Yeah, I can
Hmm.
dig that. Dan Stevens is a gem in anything he does, obviously. But I'll give this one a solid point three. I'll give this one a solid 3.75. Uh, Tempted to give it a four, but just it's I think it's 3.75 is it's a fun film. It's cool. The pacing's great. Just it's the mess. The ending is convoluted and messy, and I gotta
Hmm.
max the points off for that. But it's still a
Yeah,
great ride. It's definitely worth seeing. One of the more entertaining horror films I've seen in this year. It's fun. The pace is fun. It's not such a. It's definitely one of the more upbeat horror films I've seen. Not more upbeat, but there's a lot of shit.
exciting.
Yeah,
It's
exciting.
it's it's somehow it is really impressive. I think I've really like looking for more from this director. I don't even know if I said his name up front. Hold on, I got it
Like
right here.
Luz or
Something. He's got a first and a last name. I know that. Tillman Singer, German guy. Again, I think this is his second film too. It might be his first, but it's like his biggest release so far. It, it's a really delicate balance that they did, making it as atmospheric and as fun as it is,
Yeah.
which I kind of already said. I'm gonna give it a 3.25 with room to grow. You watched it twice.
Respect.
I
Yeah.
think I would probably bump it up more on my second watch. I
Yep.
always like, especially in mystery like this, you're able to really appreciate the
Other
setup
ass.
even more.
Yeah.
And I thought the setup was one of the best parts of it. So I would probably be able to almost kind of turn my brain off and enjoy it and just have even more fun with it on a second watch. For sure. I know that I would.
That was my experience because like my first watch I was like, what the fuck was that? I didn't hate it, but I was like, man, that was messy. The second time around, I was like, yeah, it was. I could appreciate other elements going
Totally.
on that I was so focused on, like
I can't
and
tell you how
tied up
many
the
times I've watched a movie and been like, oh, if I would have not missed that little line of dialogue the first time around, I would have
could have
enjoyed it
changed
so
it.
much more. Yeah, it
Yep.
just gives you a better perspective. And you always appreciate in this movie where it's like some of the character stuff is where some of my biggest problems are.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always enjoy the characters and I get a lot more out of the characters the second
Second
time
time around.
through. You really
Absolutely.
like you already
Dan
connected
Stevens
with them.
shines, bro, in the second watch. I mean, he's already great the first time, but and I don't know what it is about. I think it is his eyes. He's got such a glare, bro. You're like, oh shit, what's he?
Steady. Yeah,
Yeah,
just piercing, fucking steady. And just again, knowing that that's not his accent and the way that he nailed it, it's like hell yeah. But all right, man, a 3.25 from me, a 3.75 from you, and Mr. Rogue Collect. Oh wait, oh he says marked it as a 4, but if I could give it a 3.75 at the time I saw it, I probably would need to watch it again. I will watch it again. It's
yeah,
it's one that I think I'll throw on with my wife because I think she would dig it. She's way smarter than me, so she's gonna piece it all together a lot quicker. She's not gonna have, and she's just less picky than I am. That's where like, do you ever think sometimes that doing this is ruining movies for us?
yes. Instead of just enjoying shit, I'm critiquing. I'm automatically critiquing. Like, hey, did they do that? Well, instead of sometimes you just gotta take something for what it is, and if it hits you a certain way, but it's like when you start critiquing movies, you're like, was the structure of this good?
Right.
The introduction of the characters done well. It's very subtle things. It does add up, but
Totally.
yeah,
It's just extra shit going on in your brain while viewing a movie that didn't
right,
used to be there.
right,
It doesn't have to be there. But if a movie is good enough, that kind of goes away. You know
yeah,
what I mean? If a movie's
yep,
really engaging, you forget that you're being critical of it, or you stop being critical
just
and you can't help but just roll with it. But hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. This was a great one. So I highly recommend people checking both of them out. Again, Oddity
absolutely.
on Shutter, and you can get Cuckoo on Fandango or Amazon Prime or wherever you rent your digital movies. So what do I got going on? It is Wednesday, so tomorrow, boom, we're doing The Hills Have Eyes right here on Blood Splatter Chatter at 8 Central Standard
Classic.
Time. We'll have Mr. Rock and Robbie Billups, Missing Link will be with me, and I think it's Stupak Shakur will round out the foursome there, which I can't wait to talk about that. I just did The Last House on the Left over with Robbie on Pop Culture Philosophers on Monday night, so definitely go check that one out. And this is like kind of kicking off, or that kind of kicked off our little Wes Craven Fest in the midst of Horror Fest. So we're doing the Last House on the Left. That was on Pop Culture Philosophers. Dylan's already done a Nightmare on Elm Street 1. Again, we're doing
Nice.
Hills Have Eyes. And then the following week, we'll be finishing off the Craven Fest with Scream right here on Blood Splatter Chatter. So super stoked about that. We got, I'll just finish it up. What else we got going on? Then we have Videodrome the following week. And then rounding out and finishing off Horror Fest will be the Ty West X trilogy, doing X,
Ooh,
Pearl, and Maxine to finish it off. And that's on Blood
excellent.
Splatter Chatter. There's a lot of other entertaining conversations happening on a Pop Culture Philosophers and Dylan's Horror Show. So you got anything, any final thoughts, anything you want to say before we get up out this bitch, my brother? Rogue,
No,
I
no.
appreciate you being here, brother.
Oh yeah,
E,
yeah, brother.
all you sexy
Um,
bastards in the chat, appreciate you.
definitely check out both of these movies. Oddity would definitely. Okay, I think we were fair with Cuckoo. I know we
Mm-hmm.
point out a few flaws, but I think it's definitely worth your time, and I think people will have a great time with that.
And they
And,
went for it at Cuckoo. Like that's one thing I didn't
yeah,
mention. Like I give them credit for fucking going for it.
yep.
Like in every way.
And it's we gotta support these new we not we, but you know, as an audience, sometimes we're complaining about all these sequels and reboots they do, and it's like here fresh ideas with Abigail, Late Night with these. This year has been a lot of fresh ideas almost.
It's true.
Not so it was a remake, but still that's kind of original. But you know, this is an original, and we got to support these. You know, just to
That's a
show that
great point.
there's interest in these new stories, even if they don't always land. But yes, both of these well worth your time. Some of my favorite horror movies of this year.
Oh yeah, I'm looking right now because that's a good point. Just to recap that list that I started out with: original, late night or Long Legs, original, late night, Romulus franchise, First Omen franchise, Maxine part of it, an original franchise,
Yes, yeah,
and A Violent Nature, original. I saw
yep.
the TV Glow. You'll have to answer that one for me.
Original, yes, definitely
Original,
original.
A Quiet Place franchise, Apartment 7A prequel, Abigail original. Not a super crazy original idea, but original enough.
Yeah,
Infested original and Exuma
yeah.
original. So yeah, that's a good point, man. There has not been a lot of big like franchise. There's no Halloween movie this year. There's no Scream. So that yeah, that's interesting, man. That's one of the highlights of 2024, I guess. So all right,
Oh,
hell yeah, man. Good.
you saw Romulus, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
I dug it. I think they were. I think I maybe have my expectations were elsewhere, but I think I like how they were able to like blend like the feel of Prometheus and Covenant, the last couple films, but still kind of go back to like the horror aspect from Alien.
See, that's what
Um,
I've heard. I haven't seen Covenant or Prometheus. So that's
okay,
one thing. I enjoyed it not knowing, not being able to appreciate what it was doing. Like
right.
if you're a big fan of the franchise, it tied the two separate, like not separate universes, but separate like tonally things from what I
Hmm.
understand.
And
Right.
made them
It's a
blend. Yeah.
That's
I,
cool. That's cool. I loved it. There was a lot of, without spoiling it, a lot of people didn't like the third act and where it went. I didn't mind. I thought it was kind of cool. Like it was a departure, but
yeah.
I thought it was
I
cool.
re- I appreciate how it was like when you thought it was done, it wasn't done. You know, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
shit, still more. Okay, all right. That's
That's just like this episode of Blood Splatter Chatter. You thought it was over. We're talking about Alien Romulus. No, all right.
love
We're
it.
gonna get up out of here. I love you guys. I appreciate you. The Hills Have Eyes Thursday night, bitches.